Hi guys, welcome to a new video for the CCNA port security topic. So this is an important part of the CCNA. So I want to thank you that you've joined me in this video. Let's get straight into the lesson. So what are the objectives of this lesson? Firstly, is to learn the purpose of port security. What is port security even about? What are we trying to do here? Then learning the features of port security. And then we're going to be learning about what port security does and what it doesn't do, because it's important to know the difference between them in that regard. And then sticky MAC addresses. I'm going to be learning about sticky secure MAC addresses, on what they do and what they're about, and then learning the key commands for configuring port security. So there's much to cover, so let's go to the next slide. So firstly, port security, where is this even in the CCNA? In Section 5, Security Fundamentals 5.7, if you look in the version 1.1 specification, you will see that is explicitly mentioned as one of the topics that you will be asked to not only know how to define, how to describe, but how to configure and verify port security. So it's very important that we have a high level understanding. So you will see that I've yesterday I put out a port security lab. I will put out another port security lab video soon. So you please stay tuned, and you will see more content about port security coming, as this is a very important topic for the CCNA. So port security itself is about restricting switch interfaces so that only the expected devices can use them. Okay, so it's about protecting our access layer. Okay, to ensure that only the devices that we know, that we recognize, um, that we expect on our network are accessing our network, not someone who is a bit curious and is trying to bring his own rogue devices in and into our network to cause malicious harm. So this is about protecting our network from vulnerabilities to threat actors who can exploit the unused switch ports to gain unauthorized access. Okay, because then you will see in office networks and corporate networks, you'll see there are switch ports that aren't being used. But those ports need to be protected, otherwise they become a hole in our network, which the bad guys can use to cause harm. So, common port security features, okay? Port security examines frames received on the interface and will determine if a violation has occurred, okay? Examines frames received on the interface, okay? And then based on that, it will determine if a violation has occurred. And then if a violation has occurred, there's three different type of responses we can have, okay? Which we'll cover right here. So for port security, it has three violation modes: protect, restrict, and shut down. Okay, so I will explain what those mean. Port security can set a maximum number of unique source MAC addresses for an interface. Okay, so we can set a limit on how many MAC addresses we want a particular interface to be receiving. Okay, from how many MAC addresses we want an interface to be receiving from. Okay, we can define a maximum there. Okay, the default is 1. We can change that to 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 20. Okay, as a command that we use, and I will cover this later in this keynote. Okay, so a list and count of all unique source MAC addresses is kept. Okay, port security cautiously monitors newly learned MAC addresses connecting to the switch. Port security views these as violation triggers for the switch, as they can push the switch past the number of MAC entries allowed on the switch. Okay, on the interface. Sorry. Okay, can push the switch past the maximum number of MAC entries allowed on the interface. Okay, and so then we can have a violation. Okay, so port security is cautious about newly learned MAC addresses. Okay, port security has three violation modes: protect, restrict, and shut down. So what do they mean, Shoaib? What do they mean? Okay, you might be thinking this. So firstly, protect. Okay, this is the first violation mode, and this will simply, if there's a violation, it will discard the traffic. Okay, or discard it. Okay, that's it. But restrict goes one level higher. That will discard the traffic, but also send log and SNMP. It will send log and SNMP messages. Okay, log and SNMP messages. Okay, so we're going one level up. Okay, simple network management protocol. Okay, simple network management protocol messages and logs are sent. Okay, But shutdown takes it a level higher than restrict. That will discard the offending traffic, send log and SNMP messages, and then will disable the interface by putting it in error disabled state. Okay, so the traffic's discarded, log and SMP messages, okay, and it will error disable the interface. Okay, so protect, restrict, and shut down. Okay, so these are 3 levels of protection, sort of response, sorry, to a violation. Okay, so this is very important that we understand the difference between these, because this is something we can expect to be tested on in the exam. Okay, so if we go into the next slide, what are the uses of port security? How is it being used? So we can use, okay, what does port security actually support? Well, you can configure port security and 802.1x port-based authentication on the same port. On the same port, you can have port security and 802.1x port-based authentication, no problem. Okay, so remember, we can have both of these. Port security supports private VLAN ports, okay, PVLAN ports. Port security supports IEEE 802.1q tunnel ports, and it also supports non-negotiating trunks. So it's important to know what port security does, because then we come to what port security doesn't do. It does not support switch port analyzer destination ports. If you're not sure what span is, don't worry, I will cover that in a future video. Port security does support access and trunking ether channel port channel interfaces, but you can only configure it with these 4 commands. Okay, so it supports access and trunking ether channel port channel interfaces, but you can only configure it with these 4 commands. Firstly, switch port trunk encapsulation, switch port mode trunk, and switch port no negotiate. Okay, 4 commands there. And now, the good old sticky secure MAC addresses feature. Okay, so what's sticky secure MAC addresses about? Instead of predefining the MAC addresses for port security, we can use sticky secure MAC addresses. Now, sticky secure MAC addresses, this means that the interface is going to add all the secure MAC addresses to the running configuration, convert these addresses to sticky secure MAC addresses. So you've got secure MAC addresses that have been added to the running configuration. What that does is, if the interface is shut down, if it's reload, reset, no problem, the MAC addresses are still retained. That's why it's called sticky secure MAC addresses, because the MAC address is retained even if the interface is reload, reset, because it's saved in the running configuration. Because it's saved in the running configuration, then it doesn't matter if we can reload or reset the interface. Now, how do you configure it? Switch port security MAC address, insert the MAC address, sticky. Okay, switch port security MAC address, pop your MAC address in, sticky on the end. Okay, that's how we configure this. So lastly, important commands for port security that we need to take away. Firstly, show switch port security. Okay, this is to verify the port security configuration. Switch port security MAC address, insert MAC address. Okay, this is to whitelist, specify specific MAC address that is allowed on the interface. Then switch port security maximum, insert the maximum value. This will assign a maximum number of static secure MAC addresses that can be assigned to an interface. Switch port security MAC address sticky. This tells the switch to learn MAC address on the interface and interface configuration as secure MAC addresses. Okay, and lastly, switch port security violation, retract or restrict or shut down. Okay, we can use one of these 3 options to configure the response level that we want to configure. Okay, so this tells the switch how to react to an unauthorized MAC address trying to access the network. Okay, protect, restrict, or shut down. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you shortly in the next video. Thank you very much.